I've spent 18 of the past 24 years of my life in formal educational institutions, first elementary school, then high school, and eventually university. And now that it's been 2 years post-grad, two of the things that are coming to mind are A, I don't know nearly enough about the world, and B, if I want education to be a part of my regular life, I have to be a bit more intentional about it. And that's what I want to talk about today. How can we find ways to embrace education outside of the school environment? Before diving in, I do want to note that if you're watching this video and you're not already subscribed, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss future videos on the channel. So why is learning important? Well, for one, I love the fact that it keeps my brain sharp. I think when you're immersed in an environment that is new, it forces your brain to work harder, definitely harder than what it normally would when you're doing a mundane task or in a very familiar environment. Learning, I think, also has this magical way of keeping you youthful. I touched on this in my How to Get Over a Rut video, where I talked about how when you are learning something that you didn't know before, there's an excitement that comes from that. All of a sudden, you just open this door in the world that you didn't even know you could open. As a kid, you have an abundance of those moments because you're a fresh human. You don't know anything. So the simplest things end up fascinating you. And as adults, we often get caught up with the day-to-day tasks, but there is something like really exciting about having those moments where you're like, whoa, I had no idea that that was a thing. And it just makes life more thrilling again, which I think is a very youthful feeling. Above all, I think learning makes you a more understanding human being. Whether it's a topic within politics or history or business economics, whatever you're exploring, more often than not, you're confronted with this reality that things are complex and it's not always so black and white. It's not as straightforward as it might seem at surface value. And at least for me, being constantly confronted with that reality pushes me in moments where it's tempting to just go with your instinct judgment to instead take a step back and just do a little bit more deep diving. Sometimes your instinct is correct nonetheless, but you get a lot more context when you do that deep dive, and it's juicy stuff. I guess it also depends on the topic, because the context of how toasters work as I look at my toaster might not be the most thrilling to everyone. Although why not? Maybe toasters have some fascinating facts about them. One of the freedoms of learning outside of the school environment is that you are not constricted to your field of study, to your career. Like, you can explore all the things. And that provides you the opportunity to really investigate the things that spark curiosity, whether they seem important or not. It can be about a really broad topic or something super specific. A creator that actually comes to mind is Hank Green on TikTok, which, if you've been around, Hank Green and John Green, the Vlog brothers, were like the OG YouTubers. But his TikTok is one of my favorites because it's filled with obscure facts. The other day, he posted one about bananas and how bananas are clones, and that technically the bananas we eat today are not necessarily the same bananas that people have always eaten, and that the banana in the future could change. I would never investigate bananas that much, but I learned something new about bananas, and I found it a good time. I've been in a real personal finances kick lately, so like every YouTube video I'm watching right now is on the stock market and savings and budgeting and smart things to do with your money in your 20s. The other day I watched an interview with a divorce lawyer talking about prenups. Not that I'm getting married anytime soon, but storing that information in the bank in case I ever need to tap into that. So I think if you can find that great time vibe, it makes the experience more enjoyable and something you're going to want to continue doing. We are really blessed today to have so many different media options to educate ourselves with, whether it be through traditional books or search engines or documentaries, audiobooks, podcasts, YouTube videos, the list goes on. And if you can find the one that works for you, it makes learning a lot more exciting. If you're looking for like a learning quote unquote hack, one of the things I'd suggest is looking at your social media feed. I had mentioned TikTok, but there's also Instagram and Twitter, and we all know social media, but there are accounts on these platforms that are specifically geared towards making educational content, and that's really awesome. I spend a lot of time scrolling on social media, so if I can find a way to make my feeds on those platforms filled with a little bit of substance, I think that's a really easy way to slip in the education learning moments without actually feeling like you're doing so. If you followed my internet journey for a while too, you know that I love books, I love reading, and for a long time as a reader, especially as I was younger, I read more fiction than nonfiction. But now I still read a lot of fiction, but I do embrace quite a fair bit of nonfiction because I love reading. Reading works for me, and if I can find ways to dive deeper into personal development and business and money and self-help and topics I'm really invested in through a medium that just really works for me, then that's the magic combo. I did a video recently on books that changed my life. I'll have it linked down below. Highly recommend that one because it's filled with some really good ones. So if you're a reader, maybe those are some books you might want to check out. Another learning hack that I've tried to be more mindful of embracing is whenever I come across something I don't know, taking 5 to 10 minutes to do a little bit of research. I think it's easy to overestimate how much time you need to get an understanding of something, but just taking 5 to 10 minutes to define a word or define, a topic or just deep dive a little bit more into a news headline, can make you walk away with a lot more knowledge than you probably think. Sure, 5 to 10 minutes isn't making me an expert on anything, but it does give me some sort of baseline and basic understanding that I can build on. My mom is someone who I think about when I talk about this point because she is that person who, if no one in the room knows the answer, she'll be the first to be like, where's my phone? I need to Google this. And within a few moments, a few taps, she's got the answer for us, and she's relieved us all of our unknowing. Being a quality listener is a skill that I think is so severely undervalued. And I mean this in terms of when you are in conversations with friends or family or with a stranger, being able to listen, actively listen to what they're saying and not just be thinking about how you want to respond. I mean this in terms of social media, listening to conversations that are happening in comments and on posts. I mean this in terms of just even keeping your ears open when you are operating in the world to conversations happening around you. There's so much to learn from other people, even from people who don't share the same opinions as you. If anything, I'd argue that that's the time where it's most important to listen, is when someone's views don't align with your own, because even in situations like that, there's always something to take away from hearing different perspectives, things that you might not have considered. Again, I think it's important to remember that learning has the opportunity to be a fun experience. I have this app on my phone that tells me the word of the day and a dictionary definition of it, and as someone who really likes the English language, I find that a cool notification to get on my phone every day. Crossword puzzles are another one. Those things are filled with pop culture references, historical references, so many things. I really like fun facts, so I often ask my smart speakers for fun facts at random points of the day. Always a good time.
Here's a fun fact about golf. Golf is one of 2 sports that have been played on the moon. The other is the javelin throw.
Like anything that you want to make a priority, if you want to embrace more time for maybe learning a new hobby or deep diving into a certain topic, I think you have to make time for it in your schedule, just like you would do a class for school. In the morning after I work out and make my coffee, that's when I try and reserve 20 minutes for reading my nonfiction book, because that's just the time of day where I am able to be most consistent with it. Maybe you're someone who needs a little bit of guidance, or you really liked the course structure of school. There's so many online classes that you can take, whether it's paid through Masterclass or Skillshare, or free ones. You can take free Harvard classes online. I will have it linked below. There's Crash Course on YouTube. Those videos are so well put together. I want to know, whether you're a student or not, how do you currently embrace education outside of the school environment? I feel like this was kind of a random video, but I've been thinking about this topic a lot, so I wanted to bring it to the channel. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Double check to make sure you have that subscribe button clicked, and I will see you all very soon with a new video. Until then, bye everyone.